Yo, welcome back to the Audio Theory Podcast. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button. What's good, Danny? How have you been?
I've been good, dude. My face grew back. Thank God for this 5 p.m. shadow. I came back right away. I was feeling very fucking bare, but feeling good, man. Body's reacting well. I fucking pulled a few muscles last week, but body's reacting well. But how about you, bro? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. My cousin and his wife came by, so we had a little barbecue on the roof. Showed them the new spot.
Sick.
It was really good. We had some bomb Korean fried chicken. And yeah, we just really hung out there pretty much the entire time and caught up. It was really nice. It was they were familiar with our older apartment. So they were like, damn, you came up treating us like we fucking hit the lotto or something. But I mean, it's such a stark contrast that like anyone who saw the area we were living in and saw this new place would think like, you know, we got a fat raise each of us or something when we're really pretty much paying the same thing. So it was funny talking to them about that and reminiscing about where we used to live and everything. But yeah, it just made me really appreciate where we are now because it's a lot different.
That's sick, dude. When you say going back to the food though, so did you guys like barbecue yourselves or you guys order takeout from a Korean barbecue place?
A combination. So we had raw meat that we grilled, and then we also bought fried chicken from the place. So we had both of them.
What's the because I only asked, there's like a famous like franchise. I've seen it in Dallas. I definitely see it in New York and New Jersey. What's the Korean place that you guys order from for the fried chicken?
I think it's literally called like barbecue chicken or something. So if you try to search that, you will never find.
You'll never find it.
Franchise.
Yeah. Okay, no, because I'm definitely butchering the pronunciation, but there's one in New York, New Jersey, and in Dallas. It's definitely a franchise, but it's called Bangchang.
I think you pronounced it right, and I'm pretty sure that is. I'm pretty sure that is because I definitely heard of it, so that may be the franchise that we've been to. But I don't. The thing is, like, these restaurants will use the Korean name of the dish as the name of the restaurant, so I don't know if Bangchang.
Oh, so Bangchang literally translates to like fried chicken.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, I think it's. I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah, because they're gonna flame you in the comments. Like, this motherfucker.
I know, that's why I'm like, I'm trying to get better about not pretending like I know what the fuck I'm talking about, and I wish more people did it. So I'm just gonna say I don't know.
Yeah, dude, but at least that restaurant, dog, is fire, dude. Like I remember during COVID, like I definitely gained a ton of weight in Jersey because like we would order that shit twice a week. Bro, destroy that thing. And dude, but I mean that at least that restaurant, all they serve is that. Like it's nothing else. Like it's sandwiches of that or buckets of that or whatever. But bro, like, dude, Korean fried chicken, amazing, dog. Like we'll definitely dude, even maybe when you're here, we might go find a place because I love that shit, dude. Like it's
No, it's fire. And the crazy thing is, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but like in the military, I guess during the Korean War, the black soldiers taught the Koreans how to make it, and then I guess they went ahead and like added their own little twist to it. So I think that's how it originated, because I don't think any other culture really is that big on their own like version of fried chicken, from my understanding at least.
No, you might be right. Yeah. I mean, in Hispanic culture, that's not really a thing. Yeah, you might be right, dude. Yeah, dude, that's fire though. It's funny how that happens, dude. Like sometimes, like. That's why I miss like those Anthony Bourdain shows that like the purists of those travel shows, bro. Because I remember there was something that apparently like carbonara, which is like the Italian like pasta dish, but with like bacon and eggs, came from like American soldiers who were stationed in Italy and wanted like bacon and eggs to like reminisce about home, and they like put it in the pasta and shit. So like stuff like that, you would never really fucking know, and you just like you like eat a dish for 20-30 years and have no idea and stuff. So it's cool to like know those fun facts and shit.
For sure. And by the way, Bangchang apparently means my hometown, so very far off from fried chicken. See, I'm glad I caught myself. I knew.
But you've heard that phrase before, right?
Okay. But the problem is, like, I've been to, like, for instance, karaoke is norebong, which translates to song room.
Mm.
And I'm sure there's some place that's literally just called Norebang, nothing else. But you would never find an American place just called karaoke with nothing else. But they can do that here because they're Korean, and most places don't
Yeah.
monopolize the translation or whatever.
Yeah, I got you. No, dude, but I'm glad you had a vibe, man. Again, every time you send me a video of the rooftop, I'm jealous, but also obviously first happy as fuck for you because it seems like you're just like at peace, bro. Kind of like probably the same thing whenever I send you a picture of me in the backyard. Like at least in that moment, it's like, yeah, this is like peace right now, dog. So like I'm glad you've been able to experience that at your place. And dude, especially, I don't know about, I mean, I think you were hinting at it offline. We can not share too much because we're not trying to get fired tomorrow. But, bro, work has been crazy, dog. Like, dude, I know you just got into a new position. I just got into like this like pseudo new position as well for like the next 2 months, they told me. And it's just like, dog, from day one, it's just like, here you go. And it's going to suck. And you're going to suck at it. But we believe in you. And it's like, do you, bro? Like,
Yeah. No, yeah, it's rough.
Bro, it's crazy right now.
Yeah, I don't know when it's gonna slow down for me. Like every time I think it's done, I realize it probably won't be done till the end of the year, realistically. With the exception of right after Thanksgiving, I think it'll be slow for like a little bit, but then I think it's just like full speed till fucking Jan 1.
Yeah, dude. So for me though, it's funny. So I think similar. I think it's gonna slow down post Thanksgiving for me, but then it's almost like because it's gonna slow down, that means from now till Thanksgiving, it's gonna be mind-blowingly quick. And like I have to resolve so many issues of the entire year in the next 2.5 weeks to ensure that next year has a chance to be successful. I'm just like, damn. I don't think this is actually possible, bro. Like,
yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Damn, you got to figure out next year right now, or
right
plan
now,
for next year right now.
Right now, like yo, like right now, like dude, like I'm telling you, like today's like my first day, and I was just like, oh wow.
Damn, yeah, I'm not quite in that situation, but yeah, if I don't plan right now and figure out right now out, then next year I wouldn't have a job. So
there you go. It's kind of the same shit there. Like essentially my bosses and my like bosses are telling him like, if you guys don't figure out your shit for next year, these next 3 to 4 weeks, next year will be an utter disaster, and then we're gonna have like different conversations, kind of a thing. So
yeah,
but it is what it is. Kind of, you gotta trust that they put us in that seat for a reason, and this is just what comes with the job, right? I feel like I was talking to one of my like when I try to network with like people above me, and they're like, "Yo, be careful what you wish for." I was like, "All right, clearly." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But it's all good, man.
It's always greener.
The grass is always greener, bro. 100%. But all good. Again, grateful to be able to record this as, if anything, just a moment to just breathe and not be consumed by work, bro. But before we get into the episode and maybe talk about last week's episode, let the people know how was Utopia in you saw where was the venue?
Oakland Arena.
Oakland
Arena.
Cool.
Yep.
So how was that, dude?
It was phenomenal. I was super excited. And since I had only paid $60, I didn't have very much expectation on whether or not it would be great or horrible. I was just like, regardless of what happens, I did not spend a whole lot of money on this. So
sure, I'm
just gonna go in there and have a good time. And I did. I'd say first and foremost, so I get on the train, and there's only one direction it's going. So I'm constantly like looking around, like who's going to the show, who's not, trying to gauge the crowd. And I would say it was very young. I think if I had to guess, it was like early 20s in terms of the crowd.
Oh, okay. That's not terrible though, dude. Because
it's not terrible.
When you say young, I'm thinking like 14, 15-year-olds, like being dropped off by their parents.
No, but definitely younger. I could tell they weren't like, adults of our age, just because of their attitude and stuff. You can kind of just tell. And the crowd itself too wasn't like hood or anything. I would say it's like typical Rolling Loud crowd. Like they like hip hop, not a ton of black people, like that kind of vibe, if you get what I'm saying.
Sure.
Which is kind of odd because we're in Oakland, but in any case, that was very top of mind for me when I entered. And then, yeah, I got there like early enough, just went straight to my seat and realized I was like 10 rows away from the mosh pit, which wasn't even that wide or anything. So I felt like I was damn near front row, and I had the aisle seat too. So I didn't have to worry about coming in and out and being, in between 10 people on each side or anything like that. So that was fire. Saw Tizo touchdown, which was really cool.
Was he impressive?
He was impressive, but like I didn't walk away thinking to myself like, oh, I gotta check out his catalog now. It was kind of like I appreciated the features he did and everything, but I think some of these artists, for my personal taste, are just like a little too alternative. It's kind of how like I feel about like Tyler the Creator. Like some of his stuff is like mind blowing to me, and then other stuff I'm like, I know this is good, but I personally wouldn't find myself replaying it. Like Tizo is the type of person I appreciate in person, but I don't know if I'd be in the car bumping his shit, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of artists are like that.
And usually when you don't know artists very well and you see them live, like that's almost like the ranking system, right? Like if you're not running home to, like I remember the first time I saw Wiz, I just went home and downloaded every fucking mixtape he ever did. You know what I mean? So like if you're not doing that, then yeah, it could be fine, but it's also not moving you to become like a fan, I guess.
Right. And then when Travis came on, yeah, like it was just straight vibes pretty much the entire time. I will say the only frustrating about like this whole experience is that for some reason, after a while, security wasn't really checking the tickets on the phones. So people were able to kind of get into the section and loiter in the aisle area. And then every now and then, like a girl would be like, oh, can I just like take a quick video or whatever? And the first couple, like I let slide just because I didn't want to be in a bad mood and like, telling people to fuck off like every 5 seconds. But then eventually, the first one who was standing next to me, I'm like, I need my space. Like, you got to go. And then, of course, 10 minutes later, another person comes. And then, like, a song in, she's like, oh, like, am I annoying you? And at first, I wanted to, like, I almost, like, blew up. But then I was like, no. I was like, but if I, like, elbow you in the chest on accident when Fiend comes on, like, you cannot sue me. For me, I'm just like, as long as you have good vibes, like have your personal space and aren't like causing a chaos around me, then whatever. Right. And I came alone, so I'm like, there's a dude to the right of me who started getting into it, and we're all just like chanting lyrics. And then towards the end, I basically forced them her to follow me on Spotify as like a thank you for letting
like
you
like a barter situation.
Right. But Travis himself, it was amazing. I'd say for the price, it was 100% worth it.
How did he sound?
He sounded amazing. I mean, obviously it was auto-tune, but there was like not really much backtracking, so he was actually performing. And it sounded just like the songs. His energy was dope. He brought people up on stage. They were from the mosh pit only though. But I thought it was dope. He brought like an overweight girl for one of the songs, and like she was vibing out with him. Then he brought two random dudes who were like shirtless and going crazy to one song, and then another girl. So good crowd interaction. No demonic vibes or anything sketchy.
It felt safe. Like you felt safe.
Yeah, it felt safe. Right. Like there was nothing about the experience that made me say this is uncomfortable or out of pocket. Like everything went super smoothly, and I was really pleased with it overall.
Nice, dude. Nice. So yeah, the fact that people wanted to be in your area to take videos just proves like how good your seats were, right? Because they're not doing that shit anywhere. Like that's pretty sick, dude. For $60 to feel like you have seats that other people are trying to like crowd in to get like, oh, this is where I was sitting, kind of a thing. That's sick, dude.
For sure. And since I didn't pay, if I had paid like $500, I'd be fucking spitting on people. But since I paid 60, I'm like, okay, big deal. You paid 35, like fuck it, come hang out. You're standing in the aisle. Security's probably going to kick you out eventually, which they did once. But besides that, yeah, but my seats were phenomenal.
Dude, for $60, man, you felt like you had a good experience. That's awesome. So I'm assuming just based off how you're explaining it, did you leave this venue and event feeling better than you left the Drake concert?
It's a good question. I would say they're very similar. I think it's hard to say because one, Drake, I was with my wife, and it was like the first time I had ever seen him really do anything. I mean, I saw him at the Kanye Larry Hoover thing, but you know, he only did a few songs and it weren't even his best ones. I think it was like a couple off CLB and shit. So yeah, it wasn't a true Drake experience. This was like the anticipation and just who he is, and being with my wife and the vibe and everything was just super dope. And then immediately after, before that, I went to a party, and then immediately after it was an after party. So it's like, it's hard to compare the two. Whereas this, I was alone, but it was dope and cheap, and the performance was sick. So I don't think either of them really outshined the other. I think they were both amazing. If they were the same price and I had to choose one, thinking back, I probably it's so tough. Damn.
Did you have better seats at the Drake concert?
No, I'd say mine right now were better.
Okay.
Which is crazy to think because it was like a tenth of the price. Shit, it's tough to say. I think I'd probably lean more towards Travis, only because
like the most like bang for your buck, right?
Yeah, most bang for your buck. And Drake, like a lot of the stuff was just older music that like, okay, it was dope to see it live, but I've heard many of those songs like a billion times at this point. So it kind of just felt like, you know, I could have been in my room with some homies like fucking blasting this shit and jumping around.
Just having like having a Drake night kind of a thing.
Yeah. Whereas Utopia, I'm like, I'm looking forward to hearing this album and experiencing this album, and that's it. Like Her Loss was dope, but yeah, now that I think about it, 21 Savage, man, that was a disappointment. So yeah, Travis for sure I would choose.
Okay, so question for you though. So the set list, was it mainly Utopia, or was it almost like a catalog and like greatest hits of like everything Travis?
I would say 80% Utopia and then 20% the obvious greatest hits like Sicko Mode, etc.
Okay, so how was him, like how were those like Utopia songs live? Like did it hit different from when you heard it at home and like the hookah and vibe? Like did it make sense? You're like, okay, this has to be like a concert thing? Or was it still like kind of like, hey, I enjoy this song, but it is what it is?
I think it made sense. The energy, I feel like the energy from the crowd, it was it almost like gave me goosebumps in certain moments, just because like you realize how into it some of these people are. And I thought I was a big fan, but a lot of these people are just like, you could tell they just live and breathe the music, and looking around and seeing that was amazing. And I think just the stage design and the sound was so clear. Like the experience itself really made me appreciate the album and Travis as an artist, and seeing him also like appreciate his fans and having them on stage, not doing anything stupid or crazy. They're just vibing out, and the fans weren't acting crazy either, which was surprising. Like you're literally standing next to Travis and you would think they'd be like shaking and, you know, trying to get on TikTok and shit. But
IG live.
For the most part, they weren't doing that. They were just like feeling the music and then got off stage.
Nice. Yeah, dude, I mean, it sounds like you had a great time, bro. So this, not to make this like a race thing at all, but only because you brought it up. Is it weird though when you look out into like a hip hop crowd that's, again, like it's almost like, dude, you can say it's about sports, right? Like the NBA is like 95% black, the NFL is like 90% black. Is it weird when you're at like a hip hop event for like a black hip hop artist and like the majority of the crowd just isn't that demographic?
It is kind of strange.
Is it even like a thought? My bad. Is it like even a thought in your head though, or is it just like?
Oh yeah. Oh, 1,000% a thought in my head. You know, I was just at moments during the concert, I'm just looking around like to see who else likes this kind of music, and I would see, you know, white kids who look 18 and probably live in the burbs and like and whatnot. Not to say I didn't grow up there, but like you just look around and you see kids who may or may not connect to certain things within the music, and you wonder what it is that drew them in, like if they truly understand certain things. What do their parents think about it? Like all kinds of thoughts in my head, and that kind of happens throughout my day, regardless of if it's a concert or at work or just at the grocery store. I'm constantly observing these things as a Black person. And on one hand, it's super dope. Like obviously, I think anyone should appreciate whoever their fans and supporters are, regardless of their race.
The diversity of it is probably amazing, right? It's like, bro, like you're not just. I remember when like 50 Cent was beefing with all those guys, and like that diss to Jadakiss was so fire because like, bro, you're only local. You know what I mean? Like they only like you in New York. You know what I mean? Like that's a real thing. So yeah, no, it's amazing for any of these artists that I'm assuming that have fans all over the world. But it is interesting at some point, you're like, damn, like where the fuck are like my people kind of a thing. You know, like, where like the people like I grew up with, like I don't know if it's a pricing thing or if it's just, dude, this is just the city you're in. Like you're not, if you're fucking Sweden, you shouldn't expect to see a bunch of Black people there. You know what I'm saying? Like I get that. Right. But it's just interesting, like at some of these events, like again, I see it at sporting events all the time. It's like, bro, like I don't see like that many like Black people. Like, right. This is like a predominantly Black sport. Like that's odd at times.
Yeah. And when I was on the BART, that was the first people I had seen, and I wasn't sure where they were going. They were, I believe, Indian. And they weren't like wearing Travis gear or anything, but they looked like they were dressed up. And I happen to live in an area where it's predominantly Indian. And when I got off the train, I was like, oh, they're going to the Travis Scott concert. And I can't say I'm, super surprised or anything. I think when you hear these hip hop conversations on the internet and everyone commenting is anonymous and everything, you kind of forget that, this artist is Black, but maybe 80% of their supporters are 15-year-old white and Hispanic kids, or, things like that. And I even asked myself, like, I don't even know what my supporters besides family and friends might look like. Like, what if one day I threw a concert and fucking a bunch of 18-year-old like German kids show up or something? Like, who knows? And yeah, it's always top of mind. And it's interesting because these are ultimately the people that are supporting and pushing, the numbers.
Yeah, I feel like it's also interesting as we get older in a general, right? Like I'll expose myself a little bit here, but like I was watching with my girl this weekend, just vibing at the house. We were watching Selling Sunset, right? And there's like it's a reality show about like selling properties in like in LA. These girls don't sell shit. It's like it's a facade, but whatever. You watch the show because there's drama, blah, 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 blah. But one of the girls, right, is one of Nick Cannon's like 8 or 9 baby mamas, right? And like she's a predominantly white female, right? And then, but there's certain ways that she carries herself, right? And I'm just trying to think, like, were you always like this, dude? You know what I mean? Like, were you always like this kind of way? Did you always talk this way? Like, cause just to give you an example, like her name is Bree, and like the way that she talks is very much like the trendy mannerism that certain females have now. But I'm like, that's the trend. You know what I mean? Like, what happens when this trend goes away? What were you before this trend, kind of a thing? So I feel like it's just as we get older, it's very like, we know what we are, or if we're lucky enough, how we got to where we are today, and like the traits we have. It's very like when you start seeing other people, you're like, why are you like this though? You know, like not like in a funny, like trying to be a dick way, but like, I wonder what happened that this is how you are, kind of a thing, right? So I'm sure like even at concerts, like it's funny. It's like, oh, I wonder like what happened in this like Indian kid's life that he is now the biggest Travis Scott fan living in Oakland, and his family from Mumbai, right? That's a cool thing to even think about.
Yeah, and I even like one of the kids I was looking at, and I'm like, you look so different from what I would expect a hardcore, I don't know, Travis fan or whatever to look like. And I'm I'm also imagining, I'm like, yo, when he's 48, like, is he gonna still be this big of a fan of this kind of music, or is he gonna move past it and kind of be like, oh, that was my like young 17-year-old rebellious phase, and now I only listen to jazz or some shit. That was like another thing that came across my mind, because I know like forever to the day I die, I'm gonna listen to hip hop in some capacity, but I'm also curious like how leaned in some of these kids are, and are they just doing it because it's cool and trendy?
It's a trend. Yeah, it's
So that was another thing that was
that's a great 100%, dude. Like are you now like, I think about myself that I was vibing in the kitchen Saturday to like the place I sent you, and I'm like, bro, this is just who I am. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always gonna have music around. Like, I hope if I'm lucky enough to have kids, like they see mom and dad just vibing and whatever. But yeah, dude, like that's a very interesting thing when you're just looking around. You're like, damn, like I wonder what made them be a fan of this shit, right? Like, I'm sure someone's probably looking at you like, bro, this guy must be a diehard fan. He's here by himself. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like it works full circle. So it's yeah, man, it's very interesting, bro. That's why I love, like, one of my favorite things is like whenever like I'm in like a major city, is if I can eat outside to fucking people watch, bro. Like, love that shit. Like that bar that you and I went to in Oakland, that Solitaire, I think.
Yeah.
Bro, like I love just seeing all the people in that outside seating area, because like, bro, it's all kinds of people, bro. And it's just like, how did we all end up here? You know what I mean? Like, what did you do to end up here? Kind of, it's just like it's very, and I'm sure at a concert, it's like a million times that.
Yeah, 100%. There's just so many different crowds of people, and I could even like eavesdrop and hear people saying certain things as the concert was going on, and I think it is kind of annoying because in a way it does detract from like the overall experience, because you're like, it's like being at a movie theater, like you're consumed by, you know, are people laughing at this scene, and oh, this dude's talking too much, and the ruffling of this. Like, I do like the energy of it, but there is like a con to it in some capacity.
Yeah, sure, for sure. All right, so you're leaning towards better Travis Scott experience. Than
definitely
Drake.
more well-rounded.
I get that. I can see that, dude. Yeah. Again, I still do think it's weird that both these concerts. Well, again, I know Drake's concert was planned already before the album dropped, but it feels like the Utopia thing felt rushed. But you being there, it didn't feel like a rush. It felt like a very well put together concert.
Yeah, it felt like it just made sense. Like it was a perfect follow up to Astroworld. And I don't know if this comes as a surprise, but Fiend was the clear winner of the album. Like everyone next to me was like, yo, when is he gonna do Fiend next? And as soon as it went on, everyone went crazy. I'm pretty sure he did it twice. I think you have to do it twice, maybe even 3 times. And yeah, it was just the obvious favorite.
It was that. What was the? Did you stay till the end?
Pretty much. I forget what he did at the end, but it was like one of those slow, this is the end, get the fuck out of here songs. I forget which one it was. I don't even know if it was on Utopia, because at that point I was ready to go. And then of course I had to walk a fucking mile just to catch a lift.
Oh, you lifted back home?
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing is, so there's Lyft and Uber, obviously. I think it was Uber that was like 5 times the price of the fucking concert itself. I'm like, I'm not paying that shit. Travis Scott better perform in the car, pause, if I'm paying that much. And then Lyft, it was cheap. It was like $30, but I couldn't connect. I was sitting in the fucking parking lot for like 30 minutes, walked to a hotel for a mile, and then finally caught one. And I got home at like 1 a.m., but still worth it.
Yeah, dude. Good for you, man. I'm glad you had a great time. Obviously, you just kind of hinted at, like, it's curious to see whenever you do your first concert, what would your audience be? So before we get to other topics, I know you've been teasing some new music coming out on the social media front, man. So I want to give the people like an update on what's going on before the year's over.
Yes, sir. So I have a new song I'm dropping. I mean, it'll probably be out by the time you guys hear this, but dropping Thursday, November 9th. It's called Limitless. I actually finished recording it several months ago, but never released it because there was stuff I wanted to tweak. And then one thing led to another, and I just procrastinated, and then felt like it wasn't a priority release for me. But now that things are kind of dormant, and I just want to get music out there. I'm not like Drake or one of those guys who could just sit on music and like, you know, casually drop shit here and there. So I want to give as much music as possible, and so I can move on. So excited about this one. This one, honestly, I think this one kind of has more of a Utopia-ish vibe to it, which made it incredibly hard to edit. So I think that was part of it. It wasn't just like a straightforward. Just like the melodies and the vocals, like there was so many layers and effects that I normally don't do with my songs. So it was that much more daunting. And when things are daunting, I tend to put it to the side and come back to it later. And I also have to give my ears a break, because like when I had heard it a billion times, in my head I'm like I don't know if I really like it as much anymore. Like, you know, I'll worry about it later. And then I heard it the other day because I had free time, and I'm like, oh shit, like I actually really like it. So
nice.
That's kind of the backstory on why I randomly decided to drop it.
Nice. Do you want to let the people know like the potential storyline of the song, or kind of just leave it up to mystery?
I mean, I'll leave it up to interpretation once it's out. I'm curious what you or other people might think, but I'd say the overall theme of it is essentially going on a journey to be your best self, and not necessarily even being sure what that means. But as you go on that journey, you hope those that are maybe skeptical or doubters don't forget you once you do eventually figure out where your destination is.
Very nice. Very nice. And that's going to be out everywhere on 11/9?
Yep, correct.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Love it, man. Can't wait. Obviously, we'll promote it on the page and individually. But yeah, hope everyone can go peep that, comment, like, share. Get him some German fans to come support in the States. It'll be all good shit. Pretty crazy. For another episode, we're going to lead with a female rapper topic, which is wild because I feel like usually we're like, why are we talking about this? But Megan Thee Stallion dropped a new song this past weekend called COBRA that is getting, I guess, pretty good reviews from what I'm seeing online, especially the stuff that talks about like mental health and some depression that she went through over the course of the last few years. So your thoughts on the song itself?
I thought the song was amazing. Just looking at the cover art and going into it, I mean, when you see Cobra and then she's dressed like in a kind of skimpy Amazonian outfit, I'm like, all right, this song's about dick. Like, let's be real.
Bro. Like, I was already over it by the time like Rock Nation posted like, hey, new Megan song tomorrow. I was like, bro, like, I already know what this is gonna be, but I was wrong. So go ahead.
Yep. And we're in a drought, so I'm like, I'm not. We talk about being as objective as possible.
Sure.
You know, trying to separate the artist from the bullshit, and I'm like, why not? Let me just listen to it and be honest. And I listened to it, and the first thing that caught my ear was the instrumental. I think everyone can agree, the guitarist and everyone else involved is the GOAT. Amazing beat. They absolutely killed it. It has almost like a trap Egyptian type vibe to it with a random guitar throughout.
Yeah. And that happens. Like, there's moments in like music where you're listening to something, you're like, this is special. Like sonically, like forget about the lyrics or whatever, but there's moments that like the instrumental is just special by itself. And like, obviously she's lucky enough to get, be able to put the song out as her own.
Right. And it kind of, now that you bring that up, because I feel like it is rare. Like, we hear good beats all the time, but there's some songs where you're like, hold the fuck up. Like, the producer needs their flowers for this. I think in Falsetto with the Dream, like that guitar solo, people loved and talked about.
Bro, there's also one, I'll try to find it and bring it up next week, but there's also, Ashanti has one too, where like the guitar is just going off, and I'm just like, damn, like, and again, like, Ashanti's not someone that you don't just play Ashanti as a grown ass man, but like when you hear this song, you're like, oh, bro, I get why this song like did this for her because
Right.
it's just a good like again. There's something about like that's probably why like rock and roll was like so crazy like in the 80s and 70s because like dude, like, there's something about a good guitar solo that can just change the entire mood of something. So totally get it.
Yeah, and then of course it gets to the juicy part, which are the bars. Curious what she's going to talk about again, assuming it might end up being about how big her ass is or something along those lines. But to my surprise, she started being brutally honest about her depression and cutting wrists and all kinds of stuff. And I think I was really excited to see a combination of creating like a commercial bop or whatever, but also being vulnerable, and her being a female artist, because I think female artists in particular, at least the big ones, don't really tap into that theme of being vulnerable and being at their worst. Like it feels like their music's constantly about, you know, how good their pussy is or something. And I think Megan Thee Stallion took a different approach, which is I think rare for a beat like this. This could have easily been a club banger about whatever, just anything. But she decided not to, and I don't know. I think I really appreciated that. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of her music or even her as a person or whatever, but I felt like in that moment I was like, I had to give her credit and respect for doing something different, and I just hope that other female artists or artists in general, this can be a lesson that, hey, yeah, the beat can be dope, but that doesn't mean you have to talk about some, you know, just insubstantial bullshit for 4 minutes. It can be about what you're going through, and if anything, people are going to respect that more because the average person is more likely to relate to being down than constantly being up.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And I also think where we have to give her credit is that we've seen, like, from the Cardis, Ice Spice, Lotto, whatever, like, for whatever reason, those women, after they reach stardom, right, they still keep doing the same fucking thing, right? Mm-hmm. So at least we have to give her credit for trying something different, right? Because at the end of the day, you can like her, hate her, whatever, feel indifferent, but she has a massive platform, bro. Like, dude, like, she is very well liked. She has a ton of followers. She could have easily kept doing the same guzzling dick thing for the rest of her career, and her fans will like it, right? For whatever reason, they like it. So for her to go out the box and kind of like want to prove that, hey, I'm a rapper, like I can do this as well, or at least sound like I can do it, you got to give credit for that, for sure. Dude, I don't know if it's just me, bro. And again, maybe it's just the Tory stuff and like that left like a bad taste in my mouth, pause, but like, I personally don't care to hear her, right? Like, I don't know, to your point about like removing the art from the artist, like, I don't know if it's that, dude, or just like, I don't know, man. There's also people who just don't have a good flow, right? And then for me personally, I just don't think her flow is, I'm not saying it's not believable, right? I think I believe whatever she's talking about in this song, right? Because everyone, as we get older, we realize that there's like moments of like true depression and sadness that, you know, overwhelm you and stuff like that. But it's just like the flow, bro. Like there's male rappers who do similar shit. I'm just like, all right, man, like good lyrics and stuff, but like, I don't know, like it doesn't sound right? Like, I feel like to make like a hit song for me, like it all needs to make sense, right? The music, the beat needs to make sense. What you're saying needs to make sense, but also like how you sound while you're saying it also needs to like hit for me. And I know for this, man, it didn't hit home for me, dog. Like, I don't know if it was like, because her verse itself was short, right? Because I think the song's like 2.5 minutes. And bro, I don't think she raps for more than like 35, 40 seconds, and then the hooks twice. So I don't know, like, I appreciate what she was trying to do. I think the shit that she was saying was like real. And you have to appreciate a female rapper in this generation who's known for one thing, wanting to be different. But I still didn't like the song. Like, it was just like, oh, whatever song. Like, I heard it twice. After I saw it posted on Apple, and then you mentioned to me as well. I'm like, fuck, let me just try. But I was like, it's all right, man. I feel like the true star of that song is the guitarist. Like, we should figure out who the fuck he is and get him on the pod and figure out how does he do these things. Because I think that was probably the most impressive thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I really liked her delivery of the verse. Again, it's kind of hard to resonate with a bar like "This pussy's depressed," but in terms of the delivery of it, I thought it was hard. I think when it comes to female rappers, I generally prefer like the more aggressive tone like she has. Otherwise it kind of sounds a little like poppy lullaby-ish to me.
Yeah, because there's just like fine line of like female rapper. If they're not aggressive, then it's like, is this an R&B song kind of a thing? Like, even that doesn't make sense, right? Why are you comparing it besides like them being a black female? If it's not rap, it has to be R&B kind of a thing. But that's inevitably what happens. Sorry.
Right. And I think regardless of the like who's right or wrong in the Tory situation, or how it was handled, I think her career for me, like, so I like the song. I still don't know if I actually would like listen to it on my own, but I think for me, her career is just so overshadowed by the Tory bullshit that it makes it hard for me to like, she could rap about anything and I'm just still envisioning her and Tory fucking fighting in the car. Like,
yeah, I think I'm still there. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm still there. Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not even blaming her. Like, allegedly or maybe proven, she had absolutely nothing to do with it and was shot.
Innocent bystander, yeah.
Innocent bystander, whatever. But regardless of that, like, it's been going on for so long, and like, I just feel like the aura around her is still hung up on that event, and it makes it hard for me to listen with a clear mind.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. That's I tried my best, especially after I heard the production. I was like, oh wow, I really need to try to hear this, but I couldn't get past. I think I'm still in the fact where I just don't like her, right? And it's funny because the next topic I'm gonna bring, but like, I can see how certain fans will just not like people, right? Like, it's like, bro, if you went against an artist who I love or my community or my demographic, and I can see how that can just make you like, yo, no, fuck you. I don't like you as an artist, regardless of what you say. Like, again, for me, it's not that deep because I'm like, I just don't like Megan Thee Stallion. And I only like Cardi for a couple of things. Nicki Minaj is probably like my favorite female rapper right now, if I'm being honest still. And obviously Lauryn Hill's in a fucking category of her own. But I would say, yeah, I think I'm still very much in that spot where I can't get the Tory stuff out of my head. And until she comes out with some kind of like non-negotiable, this is a banger, bro. Like, no one gives a fuck about your other feelings. I just feel like she's not gonna ever win me over. And that's fine, bro. Again, she has plenty of fans who should fuck with this because the song is good. It just didn't do anything for me.
Right. I think that's fair. And it kind of reminded me of the Jack Harlow, the last release. Like, I personally haven't really listened to much of that album since. And I'm sure that a lot of people listened to it and were like, this isn't for me, but I respect the fact that you were vulnerable for, 8 songs or however long it was. And I appreciate you upped your game and everything, but it's still not meant for me. Like, I think that's the case for a lot of artists.
You see your boy is trying to tease with some new like bop that apparently he has, and
oh, for real?
It's good. Yeah, yo, you haven't seen that on TikTok?
No.
Oh, bro, yeah, dude. Like, everyone's like, yo, stop teasing.
You talking about Harlow?
Yeah.
Okay, I need a peep.
Yeah, dude. People are using the sound already on TikTok without it being like officially released yet. Like, bro, yeah, everyone's like, oh, he's coming back.
Does it sound good?
I mean, the first 20 seconds of it sound really good. The same way the first 20 seconds of most of his songs sound really good, and then it just like disappoints, bro.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, again, shout out to her. If you guys haven't listened to it yet, go check out COBRA, Megan Thee Stallion. Support her. Again, it's a fine song. And again, I just appreciate any artist that's trying to take a risk and be different, right? Because at the end of the day, that's all we can ask for. But speaking of artists who it's hard for people to wrap their brains around as if they should like him or not, this topic came to me, came to us, offline. I kind of wanted to bring it online. So if you were given one wish from a genie and the wish was told to you that either you can have Chris Brown's career or Usher's career, who are you choosing and why?
Usher, hands down. First of all, he's the only person I can sing at karaoke. Chris Brown is way out of range for my vocal ability.
Okay.
But Usher for sure. I mean, the way I see him is pre-Chris Rock slap. He's the Will Smith of R&B. Like clean cut career, ladies love him, successful as hell. Everyone loves him actually. And you can't go wrong.
Well, there was a phase though, right? There was a phase where like the whole herpes thing and like that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like that was.
But wasn't that kind of like an urban legend type thing though? Like it wasn't confirmed. It was like back when people used to say Mountain Dew fucking like made your dick smaller or whatever. Remember in like middle school there was some rumor like that.
But this was, I mean, again, but this is also a rumor you just don't want to be associated with, right? So true or not, there was something going around that this man has herpes and you don't want to get kissed in the cheek by him or something. So like that was a thing. But regardless, go back to what you're saying.
No, I hear you on that. I mean, as I was thinking about his career, that came to mind. But I feel like that was like a 2-month thing.
Yeah. That was a blip. That wasn't a complete setback or something. Sure.
And if we're being honest, there's millions of women who would be willing to catch that shit just to have a chance with him. But musically and career wise, you know, he's goated in terms of how clean he's been able to keep it, coupled with his success. It seems like it was a relatively stress-free experience. The man signed Bieber. That alone is like goated. And he's performing at Super Bowl. Has the residency in Vegas. Like, what isn't there to love?
And that's just right now, right? Because think about it. I think his first few hits came out like in the late 90s, like My Way and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Bro, that's what, 26, 27 years ago. So we're going on a almost 3-decade, if not 4 run. Yeah, so I agree, dude. I think it's Usher hands down, right? Like, again, like, it's just the career, the trajectory, the highs, right? Like go back to Confessions and also that song with what's the Ludacris and Lil Jon song? Yeah. So
I almost said Lovers and Friends, which is technically another one.
Also a goated song, right? But like, dude, like that was a moment in music, bro. You heard in a car and like everyone just like started bopping from like blocks away, right? Like, dude, this guy's highs are insane. But it's crazy how I think most people would pick Michael Jackson, but yet I think most people...
You mean Chris Brown?
Sorry, Chris Brown. Most people would pick Usher. I apologize. Most people would pick Usher.
Oh, okay.
Like if we ask everyone that question, I think most people today would pick Usher. But I always think it's wild because I think today, when you say who's the closest thing to Michael Jackson, everyone's saying Chris Brown, right? Yeah. And I think it's just like a weird thing where it's like, I don't think both things can be right, or maybe they can be, but it's just odd though, right? Because Mike is the GOAT, right? Is the status. And I don't know if we're just saying that there's a caveats to it, right? Like Chris Brown is the closest thing to Michael from like a performer, entertainer aspect, right? But when I think of Michael, I think about all of it, bro. I think about the hits, the moments, the dancing, the controversy, all of it. But dude, if I had to choose a career, if I'm between Usher and Chris Brown, like I'm taking Usher all day, bro. And it's sad though, man, because I really think the biggest thing that holds Chris Brown's career from getting to that level is that controversy, right? And unfortunately, like him being 19 years old or 18 years old, however the fuck he was, drunk, stupid, and that thing with Rihanna just kind of left like a black eye on his career. And again, there's been moments where like he has bangers and we love it and we listen to his songs and we enjoy it, but I think there's always just like this reservation of like what could have been. And that's why I think most people would still pick Usher over him.
For sure. Feel like the Michael Jackson comparisons are more so tied to Chris Brown just because one, Chris Brown's generally more present and just constantly pumping out music. I think he's always applauding Michael Jackson and, you know, referring to him as his biggest inspiration and doing the tributes and stuff. So just through that association, I think that makes Chris Brown top of mind for Michael Jackson. And then I think Chris Brown, at least over the course of his career, has been more like versatile in the genres he's tapping into. Like more recently, he's doing Afro beats, and then he's doing pop, and he's rapping and just doing a billion things. I think it's almost like they're using Michael Jackson as a synonym for just like multi-talented or something. Like it's not even necessarily that, you know, he's better than Usher, but he's just so goated in a lot of ways that I think Michael Jackson's just he's like kind of the person that makes the most sense for some people. And maybe even his vocals, like his range and stuff has something to do with it too. But I feel like besides the Rihanna incident, Chris Brown's also kind of like at a certain point in time, like steered towards the bad boy image and things, and like was more involved in like the street shit, even musically, like associating with certain people. So I feel like that alone also like kind of makes it difficult to compare him or say like that the Rihanna situation is the only thing that kind of holds him back in that regard. I feel like there are other events and altercations and blood affiliation and all kinds of shit that just kind of made it seem like an invalid comparison. But yeah, I think Usher's the clear winner in terms of someone who had a career trajectory that wasn't so rocky. But I do commend Chris Brown for overcoming all that bullshit, because
100%.
99% of people could never do that. And the fact that he's as big as he is now proves how insane and popular that guy is.
Yeah, I would say that, dude, because yeah, agreed. A lot of people aren't surviving that, right? Like at the end of the day, like I don't know if Rihanna was as famous as she is now, but dude, she was America's little Caribbean sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like, and she was part of Jay-Z's Rock Nation when it was starting out. So for him to put hands on her, whatever the fuck happened, and for him to survive that, yeah, I feel like a lot of people aren't. But I think it's also kudos to Usher, bro, because at the end of the day, like, I don't think he was 16 when he got on the scene, but bro, he was still young as fuck. And for him to have a career this long, that again, I don't think it's been a straight shot to the top. Like there was definitely moments where like it plateaued, right? But again, I don't think anyone's career is just 30 years of fucking number one hits nonstop. But the longevity of it, bro, and for it to, again, I'm not saying his career is over, but for it to be 30 years in and he's about to perform at the halftime show and everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't he do that? So yeah, dude, good for him, bro. But yeah, I would agree. I would think if I was given those two choices, if I had to be an R&B singer, I'm taking Usher's career path, Usher's career every day.
For sure. Yeah, I think Chris Brown's more akin to like Drake, and Usher's more like, I don't know, Jay-Z or something. Where Chris Brown's just like has his hands in everything and he's able to maintain relevancy, whereas Usher isn't quite doing that, but he's still like goated no matter what he does. Yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah, but yeah, and also I was telling you offline as well, but it's just like, because in the mix I was listening to the other day, bro, like the what was acceptable on the radio like 20 years ago, I feel like just doesn't happen now, right? Obviously we have hit trap songs and drill music that they're killing each other, like remove that, right? Like that's just like idiocy. That it just is what it is. But like the fact that Usher was singing about getting a side chick pregnant and telling his girlfriend about this, or wife, and every woman was loving him for it, is just like a wild thing to me, bro. I don't know if that would be allowed today. Like I don't think, like, I know they say like Future's toxic and like Tory's toxic and stuff like that, but that's like a different level of toxic that I don't think like modern women today would allow, bro. Like I don't think so.
I think it would be allowed only because I feel like that's like what R&B music was supposed to be. Like it was supposed to
That's
be all
also
the
true.
sensitive like shit. Whereas now most R&B music is like it's rap just sung. Like like I got bitches and all kinds of stuff. Like it's not even sentimental anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. That's right. Because I feel like, man, I should have like I think Brent Faiyaz dropped an album over the weekend, and I heard it was pretty good, but I wasn't able to take a deep dive in it. But yeah, it was just odd. Like again, Confession is such a great song, bro. Like a legendary dude, a part of American culture history. But yeah, those lyrics are wild, bro. Like wild, bro. Like I'm just like,
I remember
wow,
it being controversial.
Yeah, dude, it's just like.
And I was like
what?
12. I don't understand what the fuck is going on, but it felt very deep.
Yeah, it felt like when you were listening, you're like, "Am I allowed to hear this?" Kind of a thing. Like, yeah, dude, shout out to him. I think Usher's career is phenomenal, and the fact that he's in such high demand right now, dude, I think that Vegas thing sells out like every night he's doing it. So again, kudos to him. All right, my G. I mean, I feel like we covered a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for sharing some insight on the Utopia concert. But before we get out of here, as always, episode 159, we're going to give some people some heat of the week. So what's a song that you want to share?
I think the one I've actually been listening to a lot was the one I sent you over the weekend. It's T.I., Jay-Z, Kanye, and Lil Wayne. The song's called You Ain't Never Gotta Ask. Not surprisingly, you thought it might have been AI, but this actually came out. Especially just given the lineup, you're like, there's no way these guys made a song.
Well, given the
recently.
T.I. one, I'm like, bro, no one's spending time making a T.I. song right now. Like that's what I was like. That's why I was like, all right, maybe it's a real song.
Yeah, no, this was back when T.I. was top 5, and I remember my boys. We used to, when we were in the car, lighting up a little bit. We used to listen to a lot of music, and this was one of the songs that blew our minds. I don't think it's a real song in the sense of they all got together and made it. I think it's a mashup of their verses from some of their more popular songs. But it sounds 100% real and probably better than any of those songs individually. And I would say it's like a better version of Forever by Drake, Eminem, Lil Wayne, and Kanye. Like a very, I don't know, grandiose, like Avengers, suit up type situation. And the verses are just super hard. It kind of gives me chills given the beat and just aura of all them, and motivated me to continue making more music. So it's not on the platforms, obviously, the music platforms, but you could find it on YouTube easily if you search, or SoundCloud.
But so remind me, this is Jay-Z, Kanye, T.I., and Lil Wayne.
T.I. and Lil Wayne, yep.
So I'm assuming they made that mashup because of the popularity of like Swagger Like Us, right?
Yeah, I believe that's why. And then of course I went ahead and listened to that song after, and it was just kind of sad that these guys aren't really making music like that anymore. Right.
Like, yeah, because Jay-Z's only blessing you with a verse if you're like Khaled or Nas. Mm-hmm. And then I mean, Lil Wayne's been on a nice little run recently, though. But yeah, like it's not
Benny the Butcher and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not like that moment. Like that was a very cool moment in hip hop where, like, again, the 50 Cent era was kind of over, right? Even though like that's sad for me, but it was over. But then it was like all the top guys were like boys, and it was like, yeah. That was a fun time in hip hop. That was a really fun time because it was like. Yeah, because that was like, not that it wasn't before, but like at that moment in time, it was also very clear that hip hop was the dominant genre. So like, it was like, yo, get the fuck out of our way if you're not rock, dude. We had, not we, but like at that time, fucking, dude, Miley Cyrus is fucking twerking, you know what I mean? Because she's just trying to see how can I stay relevant if this is the most popular thing. So yeah, that was that was a great time in hip hop, bro. I feel like that laid the foundation for like what Drake became and stuff like that.
Oh, 100%.
100%. Dude, for me, then I'm gonna steal your heat of the week. Your heat of the week before that, I'm gonna do Gunna and on a turbo beat, Bachelor.
Nice.
I mean, dude, again, anytime I can hear Gunna, I think he is gonna be the MVP across most platforms right now when it comes to hip hop. I feel like he's been rapping his ass off. I honestly, in a weird way, dude, I don't even think the snitching allegations are a thing anymore, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like everyone just feels so comfortable playing all his music right now that it's not, again, obviously certain people and like maybe Drake or whoever, they're not like letting him jump on a track or vice versa. But as far as like the general hip hop audience, I think everyone is just happy to get some quality music. And bro, like, he is rapping his ass off on all these songs.
And based on like the demographic of the Travis Scott concert, I'm not surprised. Like, people are surprised that this 18-year-old white kid from Wisconsin is gonna give a fuck about snitching. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, and it shouldn't, bro, because if the music's good enough, like, again, at some point you have to remove the artist from the art. And dude, what him and his boys are dealing with in the background has nothing to do with us. So yeah, if you haven't listened to it yet, again, I love that Turbo stayed riding with him. He's benefiting for sure. It's always weird though that you see that he's still signed to YSL. So it's like,
yeah,
fine, right? Like
another situation like with like the Megan and Tory thing. I'm like, what is reality? I don't know who's
what is reality. Yeah,
but as long as the music is good, I don't care what the truth is.
Yeah, I do want to peep though. I don't know if you heard any of her stuff, but that artist that's allegedly Young Thug's girlfriend, Mariah, I think her name is, or have you seen that one? Have you heard of her?
I think I've come across her name a couple times, but never really delved into it.
Mariah the Scientist.
Sounds familiar.
Bro. She looks bad as fuck, by the way. But I heard the music's actually very good. So maybe I'll do a deep dive on that one, or we'll do a deep dive on that in the Brent.
That's Young Thug's girl?
Yeah.
She looks so, I mean, she's bad for sure, but she looks so not what I would expect Young Thug to be dating. I thought it was gonna be some crazy, ratchet.
Sexy Red?
Yeah, something like that. Well, that would be like his twin, but yeah, never heard of her.
Yeah, either have I, dude. Either have I. But I'm pretty sure, like, that's what she's known for being his girl. And apparently, like, they talk all the time. But this album got a ton of good reviews, bro. So if anything, we should probably peep that one and just, give some feedback to the audience on Mariah the Scientist.
Word. She kind of looks like Brittany Renner.
She does. Because I saw an interview and I honestly had to do a double take. But yeah, definitely extremely attractive. So good for her.
Nice.
Good for her. All right, my G. Great episode. Again, glad you had a great time at the show. Let the people know what we got going on. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yes, sir. Catch us at audio-theory.com. New episode every week on all platforms. We also have the Apple Music and Spotify playlists on there, so be sure to peep the Heat of the Week selection. And if you're on YouTube, check down below. We got merch available for you, so cop a hoodie, shirt, stickers, what have you. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe, comment to support the podcast.
Absolutely, dude. Love you, my dude. See you soon.
Love you too. Peace.